Hello and welcome to day 29 of my 31 days of horror. This is the last day that I'll be covering two movies at once, and those two movies are The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. Now, The Conjuring is a movie that sticks out in my mind for really one reason. It was the first movie that me and my now fiancé went to and held hands. It also sticks out to me because we were the only ones in the theater laughing at the movie. Every time someone jumped or something scary happened in the movie, Owen and I would bust a gut and everyone would act all scared and shocked. It was really funny. I'm not a big fan of The Conjuring. I think it's an okay movie. There are some tropes that James Wan does with his horror films that I particularly don't like. I've mentioned it with the Insidious movies. The handheld kind of bugs me. It makes me feel like there is someone in a room holding a camera and they need a tripod really badly. I don't like how the movie doesn't have any sort of formula or format. Things just happen. Like there's a part in the movie where the ghost or demon or whatever it is manifests and beats the living crap out of the child, and then two scenes later they're like, well, at least no one's gotten hurt yet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Demon lady just jumped off a thing and just attacked your child. Things have gotten physical. A lot of problems I have with this movie are also things that happen in the Insidious movies, but I think the Insidious movies don't take themselves as seriously as this film, and they remain a lot more fun. Those feel like funhouse movies. This feels like a movie that takes itself too seriously. And boy, do they push the based on a true story. If you don't know what the true story is to this, I'm just going to let you know because it doesn't spoil anything in the movie. There's a family. They move into a house. There is a lot of weird stuff going on in the house. They think the house is haunted, so they invite the Warrens over. The Warrens make the ghost mad, and they ask the Warrens to leave because they made the situation worse. And then the family lived there for 10 years, and that's it. That's what really happened. Now, in the movie, the Warrens are the hero, and I'm going to say this right now. I feel like the Warrens are the least interesting thing in the movie. They are just a distraction to the main story. The crap with Annabelle is so ham-fisted and shoehorned in, it just doesn't fit at all. I think it's an interesting work of fiction, but I don't love the movie. I don't think it was the return to horror that the cinema needed. I think this is a very mediocre film, but not a bad one. It actually has some surprising similarities to Amityville 2: The Possession, which I think is a much better film. So I've never actually seen The Conjuring 2 till just now, and I think I liked it a lot more than the first movie. You see, one thing that bothered me in the first movie was no one really seemed like they were in the 70s. It seemed like they were in 70s cosplay. It really took me out of the movie. I couldn't buy that was set in the time period. This one, however, it does feel like it's set in the time period it's supposed to be based in. Again, the Warrens are the weakest part of the movie. They're the least interesting part of the movie. But one thing I did like about this movie is it seemed to be more based on what actually happened than the first film. The first movie was completely made up, where this movie seemed to be taking a lot of cues from the actual event that the movie is based on. And I really appreciated that. I would actually like to see this story adapted in not a Conjuring film, because it's a very interesting story. But the Warrens are just, they're just so uninteresting, and every time it cuts back to them, I just want to be back with the family and see what's going on there. But I do think this was a tremendous step up from the original movie. The Warrens seem to have more to do in this one, where the first one, they feel like they're just there because, like, oh yeah, the Warrens are here. I forgot to mention them. I actually think these movies would play a lot better if they weren't based on the Warrens. Like, if they were, like, let's say they were the Coens, and they changed things around. These would work better as complete fiction that are loosely based on the Warrens, and they were new characters. That way they could have a lot more room to work with, instead of, like, based on a true story. Oh, what's the true story? Well, the Warrens existed once, but they didn't actually help anyone. I don't know, not the worst movies. I definitely think the second one's a lot stronger than the first one. I'd sooner watch the second one again than watch the first one. But beyond that, I think they're just okay. I know some people love them, and I'm afraid I'm not one of them. I think they're mediocre horror films. For a movie series that's supposed to be about the Warrens and honoring them, they are the weakest things in their own movies. It's very I don't know. Well, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow in day 30 of my 31 days of horror.